Hey everybody, welcome back to GWN. I am Noctaire, your host. So I've been hearing that this base has been giving a lot of people grief. And I think it's especially those within the 3,500 to 4,500 trophy range, because I don't really see this above 4,500. Not much. I mean, maybe occasionally. So I thought it was maybe time to go ahead and do a how do I beat this base episode. I've got 5 different replays for you. All of them are different methods to use to beat this base. And we're going to start off with what, at least in my opinion, was the most difficult one to get the 3-star on, and that would be the Minion Drops strategy. Minion Drops works just fine against this base, coming from the side, left or right. Most of the time, if you do it right, if you execute it in a solid fashion, you're going to pull between a 75 and 85% with a level 16 Minion Drops. However, that's not what we wanted to do. We wanted to get a 3-star. So we keep on hammering at it. I went down to Oz Builders, and I've been hanging out with those guys last couple days and let them take a stab at it or two. And finally, Ben was able to get the 3-star using Minion Drops. And it was, I mean, it was a challenge. I did it probably 15 times, and I could not get the 3-star. I kept getting 75, 79, 85%, but I never hit the 3-star. And he finally did. Only took him 3 or 4 tries, too, so not too bad on that. He comes in from the left, and he drops his drop ships in a way that they are able to stay in front of the beta minions all the way through to the middle of the base. This base is top heavy with defenses, so having those tanks when you're hitting the top is particularly useful, and that's what we see here. You know, and the way these minion drop attacks work on a lot of these box style bases, and this one in particular, is you come in from the side, and then as it moves forward, the line starts to wrap up from the bottom, and that's what we see here until finally, you know, the top left is gone, the bottom right is gone, then it works its way up, and we get that last storage and collector right at the very end of the attack for the 3-star. Now the next 4 replays all use what is really the BH8 meta, and that is the cannon cart, but they're all different attacks, so be sure to watch them all here. We're going to start off with Bombarian Carts. Bombarian Carts uses Raged Barbarians and cannon carts and bombers. Now the whole idea is that the bombers are going to open the base up and disrupt the flow of the base, and then you're just going to flood it with the 14 gajillion Raged Barbarians that you get as a part of this attack. And that's exactly what we do here. So, you know, you see Debu here opens up the base with his bombers, takes out a couple of junk buildings on the outside as well, and he's coming from the right. I've seen this run from the left as well, and I think some of the other cannon cart attacks might do that. We'll take a look at those, but he opens up the base on the right and then just slowly but surely trickles in all of his Raged Barbarians. And these are level 16 Raged Barbarians, so they've got a little extra juice behind their rage. It just, I tell you, it just lasts forever. It really is it's a fun troop to play with because it stays raged for so long. But as it works its way through the base, you get that offensive line that I talk about all the time with these cannon cart round attacks. And the line just pushes all the way through. The troop that's in front of the cannon carts acts both as a tank as well as, you know, a forward attack, in that it's able to take out a lot of things as it works its way through. And the cannon carts typically stay alive. I mean, here we've got, what, 5 of them left? 4 of them left? Yeah, 4 of them left at the very end of the attack. So, I mean, it's a really strong attack strategy. Now, this next one here is, well, it's what I call Big Bart Jr. The Big Bart attack that I talked about not too long ago uses Raged Barbarians, Boxer Giants, Cannon Carts, and Bombers. Now in this case, Aaron from the Form Goat Herd, he omits the Bombers and just goes in with everything else. And that works just as well. As long as you can get 2 or 3 points of ingress, you really don't need the Bombers for most of the attack strategies. Every once in a while you do, but generally speaking, the layout of a box base, when you can find 2 or 3 ways into the base, whatever you send in will spread out after it gets through that initial break-in, the initial hole that it's going through to get in. And once it does, you typically will form up that offensive line, like I said before, with tanks of one kind in the front and then the cannon carts to the rear. And this is no different. He sweeps through the base, coming in from the left-hand side this time, and works his way right across left to right until finally we're down to just the last few buildings, and it takes, you know, 10 or 15 seconds to knock those out. Got to cut through a couple of walls and get the troops to move into position to finally take them down for the 3-star. Now these next 2 are my own. My 2 signature ground attacks right now are PEKKA Carts and GiBoCC. And I start off with PEKKA Carts. This style of base, and I'm not talking about just the goalpost base, but others that are similar to it, I almost always come from the top with my Super PEKKA and then form a line behind them with the cannon carts, and then finally send in the battle machine to kind of shore up the side where the second or third, whatever you want to call it, PEKKA did not go. And with this particular style of base, again, like I said, it's top heavy on defense. So if you have a strong tank like the Super PEKKA and the battle machine and you send them in, they will tank the top of the base very well. And by the time they're done, all that's left is what, a cannon, an archer tower, a couple of relatively mundane defenses that you can work your way through one at a time. And there's usually going to be, 2, 3, 4 cannon carts left at the end. I like to go with a 3 and 3 on this because it gets me 9 cannon carts. So you've got lots and lots to spare in case you run into any spring traps that pop them off the board or anything like that. But coming down from the top on this one using PEKKA Carts and against any that are similar to it with the builder hull at the top and a whole bunch of defenses around it and a weak bottom. Gets me the 3-star. And last but not least, we've got GiBoCC. On this one, I decided to come up from the bottom. I like to take the GiBoCC strategy from the point of the base that is furthest away from the builder hull. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I will go in straight at the builder hull. But usually I find that it really works well if you come from the opposite end. I'm not entirely sure why. I think it's because it gives the offensive line a little more time to form. It allows it to kind of work its way through. And once it's formed up and it's strong, you get that sweep that just takes you right up through the base. And if you've watched any of my previous videos with GiBoCC, or even for that matter, PEKKA Carts, where I don't use the bomber in it, you'll see how I just kind of come in from the one bottom and then sweep all the way up through the base, usually right up through the middle of the base, which is where all the defenses end up being. Even on this one, where it is a top-heavy defense design, take a look at it without the walls, the defenses are pretty much in the middle of the base. So with the bombers taking out the walls, you're able to move right through the base without any issues at all. You go straight up through the middle of it, and all you end up having to really deal with is the the little bits that are at the end, top or bottom, and the things that are along the side, which are typically your junk buildings, as I call them, things like storages and collectors and the clock tower and the lab, and then eventually you end up dealing with, last but not least, those 4 army camps are at the top. And in this one, I think I'm down to what, 1 or 2 tanks? Yeah, I'm down to just the one last tank and got a couple bombers left. But it still works pretty much the same. Might have been a little bit better if I had better bombers. I don't know. Either way, it ends up being a 3-star and it works. It's effective. So there we go. There you have it. 5 different attack strategies that you can use against this base. Best if they're maxed. Doesn't necessarily have to be maxed. It just depends on what kind of troop it is you're dealing with. But it'll get you up to a good solid 2-star, 75% or better. If you got any questions or comments, feel free to drop them down below. Thanks a lot for sticking around to the end of the video. I got more videos coming up this week. Going to be doing some more attack strategies and talking about a couple of different general topics as well. So I'll talk at you guys later. I am out of here. Keep on clashing. Bye-bye.